Mark Reynolds always believed he had it all: a loving wife, 2 beautiful children, and a comfortable home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. On the surface, the Reynolds family seemed perfect. Neighbors admired their life, friends envied their stability, and Mark often boasted about Lisa's charm and grace on social media. She ran a small boutique from home, and he worked long hours as a financial analyst. Together, they were the picture of success and happiness, but behind the perfectly trimmed lawn and family photos, something felt off. Over the past year, Mark began noticing subtle changes in Lisa's behavior. She often stayed late at her boutique without clear reasons, sometimes returning home with a tired, distant expression. Her phone, once a tool she casually left around, was now always face down, notifications silenced. She seemed distracted, her laughter less genuine, her smile fleeting. At first, Mark brushed it off, convincing himself that work stress or boutique issues explained her distance. Yet a small, nagging unease lingered in the back of his mind. One evening, Mark decided to unwind by catching up on a popular talk show online, the kind that exposed scandals and shocking secrets. As the episode began, his attention waned, until he saw her. The familiar face of his wife appeared on the screen, and Mark froze. The footage was shocking. Lisa was caught laughing intimately with another man, attending dinner dates, and even leaving a hotel together. Every clip was a hammer blow to the life he believed he knew. For a moment, Mark sat in silence, unable to process the images. His heart raced as disbelief turned to horror. The perfect life he had meticulously built seemed like a lie. The warm home, the smiles of his children, the facade of marital bliss, it all felt fragile, now tainted by betrayal. Questions flooded his mind. How long had this been going on? Had she ever truly loved him? What had he missed along the way? Mark's world, once stable and secure, suddenly felt unstable. The woman he trusted most had been living a secret life, hidden behind polite smiles and routine conversations. That night, Mark couldn't sleep. Every memory of their life together replayed in his mind, twisting into something unrecognizable. What had seemed like the perfect marriage was, in reality, a dangerous illusion. From that moment on, Mark knew nothing would ever be the same. The discovery of Lisa's secret affair had shattered the foundation of their life, setting the stage for a spiral of obsession, anger, and tragedy that would soon follow. If you want, I can ** also expand Chapter 2 in the same detailed, suspenseful style ** so the story flows seamlessly for your documentary. Do you want me to do that next? The days after Mark discovered the TV footage were the longest of his life. He moved through the house in a daze, performing everyday tasks while his mind replayed the shocking images over and over. Every laugh, every glance, every intimate moment Lisa shared with the other man tormented him. The betrayal felt like a physical weight pressing on his chest. Mark could barely eat or sleep, yet he couldn't tear his eyes away from the evidence. At first he tried to convince himself that it was a mistake, that the show had misinterpreted what it aired, or that there was some innocent explanation. But deep down he knew better. He couldn't ignore the truth. His wife, the woman he had trusted more than anyone in the world, had been living a lie. Mark decided he had to confront Lisa, but he wanted to be careful. He needed her confession, a moment where she couldn't deny the truth. That evening, he waited until the children were asleep and the house was quiet. Holding his phone tightly, he approached her in the living room. "Lisa," he began, his voice steady but cold, "who is this man?" For a moment Lisa froze. The confident, poised woman he had known for years seemed to vanish. Her lips quivered, her eyes widened, and a shadow of fear crossed her face. "Mark, it's not what you think," she stammered. Her voice was soft, pleading, desperate. But Mark had seen enough to know the truth. Unable to hide it any longer, Lisa admitted to the affair. She explained that the man was a client of her boutique, that their relationship had been ongoing for months, and that it had escalated without her fully realizing the consequences. Her words, meant to calm and rationalize, only fueled Mark's anger. Every syllable reminded him of the deceit, the betrayal that had been meticulously hidden under the guise of a normal, happy marriage. Mark's mind raced. How had he missed the signs? How could the woman he loved so deeply have done this behind his back? Despite his heartbreak, he felt the need for more proof. He couldn't act on mere confessions alone. So he hired a private investigator, a discreet professional who would dig into the affair, gathering messages, photos, and details of every secret rendezvous. As the evidence piled up, Mark's heartbreak slowly morphed into obsession. He became consumed with tracking Lisa's movements, piecing together the timeline of her betrayal. Each discovery added fuel to the fire of anger building inside him. What had begun as disbelief now became a dangerous mix of suspicion, obsession, and a growing need for control, a storm that was only beginning to form. If you want, I can *** expand Chapter 3, the obsession next ***, keeping the suspense high and setting up the story for the dramatic climax. Here's an expanded version of *** Chapter 3, the obsession *** in a suspenseful, gripping style around 400-450 words, #** Chapter 3, the obsession *** as the days turned into weeks, Mark's life became consumed by Lisa's betrayal. The initial shock had faded, replaced by an all-consuming need to know everything, every secret meeting, every whispered message, every stolen moment that had gone unnoticed. His mind replayed the footage from the TV show countless times, each frame fueling a mixture of anger and disbelief that gnawed at him constantly. Mark began following Lisa discreetly, convincing himself it was for the truth. He watched her leave the house early in the morning, tracking her movements without her knowing. He noted the cars she met with, the locations she visited, and the times she returned home. Every detail was recorded meticulously, each image a reminder of the deception he had endured. Sleep became a luxury, and his thoughts circled obsessively around what Lisa had done and the man she had chosen over him. At home, the tension was unbearable. Arguments flared over small things, forgotten errands, misplaced keys, minor household disagreements. Every word seemed to carry a hidden accusation, every glance a spark of suspicion. The children sensed the unease, their laughter quieter, their questions met with strained smiles and tense reassurances. Friends began noticing the change in Mark's demeanor. Once calm and approachable, he had become withdrawn, brooding, often lost in thought, as he obsessively checked his phone for updates from the private investigator. Lisa, meanwhile, grew increasingly nervous. She could sense Mark's scrutiny, his silent observation, his quiet intensity that suggested he knew more than he let on. Her lies became less convincing, her excuses more desperate. Every interaction carried the weight of mistrust, and soon the fragile facade of their marriage started crumbling under the strain. Mark's obsession spiraled further after watching another episode of The Scandal, focused TV show. The host discussed cases where betrayal had led to extreme consequences, and though meant as cautionary tales, they resonated differently with Mark. The stories ignited something dark inside him, a mixture of fear, jealousy, and the sense that he had lost control of the life he had built. Each revelation about Lisa's secret life fueled his desire to regain control, even as he struggled to suppress the dangerous thoughts creeping into his mind. Friends and family noticed Mark's obsession, but had no idea of the depth of the betrayal he had discovered. Behind closed doors, he wrestled with thoughts he could hardly admit to himself. The perfect life he once cherished now seemed like a fragile illusion, and every day spent uncovering Lisa's secrets pulled him further into a dangerous spiral from which there might be no escape. If you want, I can now *** expand Chapter 4, the breaking point ***, setting up the dramatic climax where the story takes a tragic turn. This chapter will maximize suspense and tension. Do you want me to do that next? Mark Reynolds believed he had the perfect marriage. For years, he trusted Lisa completely, never suspecting the secret life she had begun to lead. He worked long hours providing for the family while Lisa focused on her boutique and the children. But subtle changes began to creep in. Lisa's lateness, distracted behavior, and constant phone secrecy caused a quiet unease in Mark's mind. He noticed her laughing at texts late at night, yet brushing it off as harmless. One fateful evening, Mark was browsing a popular TV show online, a show known for exposing cheating spouses. What he saw next would shatter his life forever. There was Lisa, his wife, laughing intimately with another man, leaving restaurants together, and even entering a hotel. The tension in the Reynolds household had reached a boiling point. Weeks of surveillance, arguments, and silent resentment had left both Mark and Lisa on edge. Every small interaction carried a weight of suspicion. Mark could no longer see his wife without feeling the sting of betrayal, while Lisa felt the invisible eyes of his judgment following her every move. The house, once filled with laughter and warmth, had become a prison of unease. It was a rainy Saturday evening when the inevitable confrontation arrived. Lisa returned home later than usual, her clothes soaked, hair plastered to her face, carrying a tension that mirrored Mark's own. Mark had been waiting, pacing in the living room, a storm of anger and heartbreak building inside him. This would be the final conversation, the one that would decide the future of their marriage, or perhaps the fate of both their lives. "Lisa," Mark began, his voice trembling with barely restrained emotion, "I need the truth. No more lies, no more hiding." Lisa tried to calm him, her words rushed and uneven. "Mark, please, I can explain. I never meant for it to go this far. I made a mistake." But Mark had heard enough. Years of trust and love had been erased in the span of months. His heart pounded, every beat echoing his fury. In that moment, rational thought struggled to break through the storm of betrayal, obsession, and rage that had consumed him. Mark's gaze shifted to the gun hidden beneath the couch cushions, a precaution he had taken in moments of insomnia, a symbol of his growing fear and desperation. The argument escalated quickly. Voices rose, doors slammed, and furniture rattled under the force of their frustration. In a split second, the moment of confrontation became a moment of irreversible tragedy. The shot rang out, loud and deafening against the backdrop of the storm. Lisa fell, blood spreading across the floor, and Mark froze, his mind unable to comprehend what he had done. Panic and regret crashed over him as he realized the life he had tried to control had been destroyed in a single instant. Neighbors later recounted the chaos. Mark standing in the doorway, hands shaking, phone in hand, screaming for help. The children were quickly evacuated by nearby families, innocent witnesses to a horror they would never understand. In the aftermath, the quiet suburban street became a scene of tragedy, emergency vehicles and flashing lights painting the night in stark, urgent colors. The perfect life had ended in a flash, leaving behind heartbreak, loss, and a dark lesson about obsession, betrayal, and the dangerous consequences of unchecked emotion. Next, I can ** expand Chapter 5, the aftermath **, showing the legal fallout, media frenzy, and the chilling conclusion of the story. This will give your documentary a complete, gripping ending. Do you want me to do that? The morning after the shooting, the quiet suburban neighborhood was unrecognizable. Police tape cordoned off the Reynolds home, and flashing lights reflected off the rain-slick streets. News crews had already arrived, their cameras capturing the chaos as reporters speculated on what had led to the tragedy. Mark Reynolds, once admired for his calm demeanor and seemingly perfect life, was now the face of a horrifying story that shocked the nation. Mark was arrested at the scene, handcuffed and led away under the watchful eyes of neighbors and reporters. In the police car, his mind raced. He felt a dizzying mix of grief, regret, and numb disbelief. He had planned, observed, and sought the truth, yet in a single moment he had destroyed everything he loved. The children were placed in the temporary care of family members, their world shattered by events they could not comprehend. The media quickly picked up the story. Headlines screamed about the TV show that had exposed Lisa's affair, the months of betrayal, and the shocking shooting. Viewers across the country were captivated by the tale of a perfect life unraveling into tragedy, with every new detail adding to the sense of disbelief. Social media was flooded with opinions, some sympathetic to Mark, others condemning his violent actions. In court, Mark's trial became a national spectacle. Prosecutors painted a picture of premeditation, highlighting the surveillance, private investigator reports, and the purchase of the firearm. Defense attorneys focused on the psychological strain Mark endured, the heartbreak, the betrayal, and the obsessive spiral that had consumed him. Experts in psychology testified about how extreme emotional trauma can cloud judgment and how betrayal can lead to actions that otherwise seem unimaginable. Friends, family, and neighbors struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the one who had committed the crime. How could someone so calm, so loving, be pushed to such a violent act? The story became a chilling discussion about trust, obsession, and the dangers of unaddressed emotional turmoil. Ultimately, Mark was convicted of murder. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read, a collective gasp echoing the tragedy that had begun with a seemingly ordinary life and ended in devastation. Lisa's funeral followed soon after, attended by friends and family who mourned not only her death but the shattered lives left in its wake. Years later, the Reynolds case is still remembered as a cautionary tale. A story that began with a TV show exposing a secret affair spiraled into obsession, rage, and irreversible tragedy. It is a chilling reminder of how deception, mistrust, and uncontrolled emotion can destroy everything, even the life you thought was perfect. In the days following the TV reveal, Mark struggled to process the truth. He avoided Lisa but secretly studied every photo, message, and clue he could find online. Eventually, he confronted her, phone in hand. Mark reenactment, calm voice, Lisa, who is this man? Lisa froze, the confident facade crumbled. Mark, it's not what it looks like, she stammered, but the images spoke louder than words. Finally, Lisa confessed. The affair had been ongoing for months, and the man was a client from her boutique. Narrator, Mark's heartbreak quickly shifted into a desire for proof. He hired a private investigator to gather evidence, messages, photos, locations, anything to understand the full extent of the betrayal. As evidence piled up, his heartbreak began morphing into obsession. He followed Lisa discreetly, noting every movement, obsessing over each secret rendezvous. The house, once filled with laughter, had become a prison of mistrust. Mark's mind became consumed with Lisa's betrayal. He scrutinized every interaction, tracked every movement, and analyzed every message. Sleep became impossible, replaced by late-night surveillance and endless questioning of reality. Lisa, sensing his scrutiny, grew nervous. Her excuses became transparent, and the tension in the household escalated. Arguments erupted over trivial things, each fight carrying the weight of unspoken truths. Friends and neighbors noticed Mark's change. The man who had once been calm and approachable now seemed withdrawn, brooding, a shadow of his former self. Narrator, the obsession took a dangerous toll. Mark's thoughts became darker. Watching another episode of the Scandal TV show, he was confronted with stories of betrayal leading to extreme consequences. Though meant as cautionary tales, they resonated differently with him. The perfect life he thought he had was slipping from his grasp, and he felt powerless. His heartbreak and anger began to merge into a dangerous resolve, an urge to regain control, no matter the cost. Cut to Mark staring at photos, gripping a gun hidden under the couch on a stormy Saturday evening. Lisa returned home later than expected, drenched from the rain. Mark was waiting, pacing, the storm of emotion inside him building to a dangerous crescendo. Mark reenactment, trembling. "Lisa, I need the truth. No more lies." Lisa attempted to calm him, pleading, rationalizing, but it was too late. Years of betrayal and obsession had brought Mark to the edge. In a split second, a confrontation became a tragedy. Dramatic reenactment, a gunshot echoes, rain pouring, silence following. Lisa fell. Panic consumed Mark. The life he had tried to preserve was destroyed in an instant. Neighbors rushed to the scene. The children were taken to safety, unaware of the horror unfolding. Narrator, in one moment, the perfect marriage became a crime scene. What began as love and trust ended in heartbreak, violence, and irreversible tragedy. The story exploded in the media. Headlines highlighted the TV show that exposed Lisa, the months of betrayal, and the shocking shooting. Social media erupted with opinions, some sympathetic to Mark, others condemning him. Mark was arrested at the scene, and his trial became a national spectacle. Prosecutors argued premeditation, citing surveillance, private investigator reports, and the gun. The defense focused on Mark's emotional trauma and the psychological toll of betrayal. Cut to courtroom sketches, dramatic music. Friends and neighbors struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the one who had committed murder. In the end, Mark was convicted. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read. Lisa's funeral followed, attended by those mourning not only her death but the shattered lives left behind. The Reynolds case serves as a chilling reminder. Betrayal, obsession, and uncontrolled emotions can destroy everything, even a life that seemed perfect. Closing visuals, empty house, rainy streets, slow fade to black narrator. A TV show exposed a secret affair. A life unraveled, and a family was left broken forever.